Hey guys, Jim here, and we are here at Darrel Ralph's shop here in Forney, Texas. And I learned a big lesson the one and only other time I ever did this, and I went to go visit Stan Wilson. I wasn't prepared for that. I just happened to bring a camera with me. We did a little bit of fun shooting, and y'all gave me all kinds of shit for a camera that was jumping around and in and out of focus. So I actually brought a cameraman with me this time. We're using a professional grade microphone, and we're going to try to have some fun. What I want to do here is I want to give you guys an idea of what happens in Darrel's shop, give you more of a perspective on who Darrel is as a person and as a maker, introduce you to his crew, the guys that are making your knives, and give you a chance to see a Dominator from its very beginning stages all the way to final completion. Because what a lot of you don't know is everything that Darrel does, it's done in this building. He doesn't farm out any work. He doesn't have anything water jet or anything else brought in. He does all the work here in this shop here in Forney, Texas, and we're going to take a look at how it's done right now. Well, now the moment you've all been waiting for. We get a chance to meet everybody in Darrel's crew. Darrel, come on over here and introduce us to everybody one by one and tell us what they do.
Here is our shop super is Virgil Bonifant. Virgil's been with us 12 years now. Fantastic guy. Does a fantastic job for us. Virgil's got his fingers in every pie around here that you can imagine, even the next door neighbor.
So he's got sticky fingers. All right, let's take a look at who do we have next to him, a rather special young man.
That's my son Ian. Him and Virgil have kind of teamed up as the people to come, or the next generation. So these two guys have really pushed me really hard to do better and better and better, and come out with more new products and such as that. This is Tommy Otha. Otha is a knife maker, by the way. Otha Knives. Tommy transplanted in from Virginia about 1 week ago. We hired him as our CNC man. He's a fantastic CAD man, fantastic SolidWorks. Just a genius at that kind of thing, and that's what he was doing. He's sitting in an office, and he's been making knives maybe 10 years now, and he decided that we made him an offer. We wanted somebody that was familiar with CAD work, because all of this transpires and goes back over into machining.
And you wanted somebody with a friendly, happy face, which obviously you've gotten right. I mean, look how happy he is.
He's single. I know why.
All right, next.
This is Ed.
No, see, he looks happy.
Ed is a... we found Ed, but we're very lucky to find Ed. He's very artistic. Tommy's very artistic. All of these guys are very artistic, by the way. I just want to mention that. Ed is a very, very artistic person. He's basically Virgil's right-hand man at this time. He does a lot of our assembly, a lot of the finishes, a lot of the awesome anodization you're seeing now. He comes up with some crazy stuff for us all the time. We push him to do that, and guess what? He delivers.
And last but not least,
this is Stefano. He's an awesome kid that just got out of high school and was working as a veterinarian assistant, and he wanted to change jobs and get into something where there's industry and, you know, working with his hands. So we put him to work, and he's doing a lot of our grind work, a lot of our finish work, like on our beads and pins and all of that kind of thing, knife handles, blade finishing, that kind of thing. So,
well, super. Now everybody gets a chance to see the hands that are involved in the knife that you're carrying in your pocket right now. What we're going to do is we're going to go to machine. We're going to see all the cool stuff that makes these knives what they are, and give you an idea just how big Darrel's shop really is. Because I mean, this is no garage at the side of somebody's house. This is not a shipping container. We've seen a lot of impressive, incredible artists that work in very small, confined spaces, and that's exactly where Darrel started out as well. Now it's a chance for us to see just how big he's grown in the past 22 years. All right, guys, we've had a chance to meet a few people on Darrel's crew. We've had a chance to look around the shop. Now I want to sit down and really give you guys a chance to get to know Darrel as an individual. Darrel, thank you for inviting us out to the shop. It's been an awesome experience. Now, you've been doing this for over 20 years now at this point, right?
Yep, this is our into our 22nd year.
And what do you think has been the most challenging thing? Let's go by decade. When you were first starting, when you were settled in and being a custom maker and kind of finding your groove, and now today, as the market has shifted so much, because you were doing all kinds of crazy stuff throughout your career, and now everything's really about tactical folders and tactical flippers. What do you think each of those generations were the biggest changes for you?
The first years were really tough. You know, I started out in a little garage, you know, and on my house making switchblades when the switchblade craze was on. And then I kind of looked at that and saw that it was dying, and got hooked up with Les Robertson way back in the 90s, and come out with my first tactical folder. And since then, it's been kind of a blend of the art and tactical together for me, more than just solid tactical. And it was tough the first 5 years. It was terrible. It's pretty tough.
And once you got settled in and found your groove and found the things that you enjoyed making, what do you think were some of the biggest changes you saw during that time?
The biggest changes were having to grow from being a purist to having to figure out how to make a living if this is what you love. And
so explain that. So you were doing at that point all your own stock removal, everything was done by hand, and at some point you had to find a way to speed up the process and make things where you could, you know, make more money, make more product.
Yes, absolutely. We had a 6-year backlog. And, you know, that's not good for customers, number one. People don't like that anymore. We are a throwaway society. Everybody wants everything right now, and then they throw it away and get another one, which you're guilty of.
Yeah, I'm one of those bastards myself. That's all right.
Yeah.
You can call me a flipper. It's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. So that's been a big change for us, because we used to have a lot of collectors around that would grab the knife and you never see it again, ever. And there's still guys out there that I'm in touch with from time to time that do that.
Yeah, sometimes you'll get certain people that they don't really care about flipping things around. That knife will disappear into their collection forever and you never see it again. And I think nowadays we're seeing such a volatile market. And it's not really about the dealers, it's more about the collectors. They're always looking to get the hottest, newest thing. And there's such a huge, honestly, there's a huge assortment. There's a lot of choices out there, a lot of makers coming out of the woodwork. I mean, used to, you would pick up a magazine and you would flip through a magazine and go, oh, I like that person's work, and you look in the back and see how you could contact them, and that was it. But now with the internet, especially with social media, people are coming out of their garages into the spotlight a lot faster, and there's a lot more great choices out there that people, the average collector, can't afford to buy something and keep it forever and keep collecting how they want, because they're being taunted almost daily. They say, oh, there's a nice new thing, there's a shiny new object, I've got to have that. And sometimes you got to give up one to get another.
Yes, absolutely. And we see that quite often. One of the biggest things that we found is your knives have to be what I call flippable. If they're not flippable, you're dead. You're dead. They've got to be able to actually make money on a knife, or at least get their money out. And that's one of the biggest changes over the last 10 years. That has made a difference. Yeah,
the internet's changed, I think, pretty much every form of commerce that there is. Now, we're talking about that flippability, that collectability, the hope of appreciation. We were talking a minute ago about the Italian stilettos, and that was the big thing in the 80s. And you and I have discussed this. I mean, we've known each other since 2009. We've been good friends. We talked about a lot of things. And one of the things that you and I discussed when I started going on my rants and my raves about the secondary market pricing and what dealers have been doing, you said, I've seen all this before. This happened at the end of the 80s with the Italian stiletto market. Give us a little bit of background on that, because a lot of the newer collectors that are just getting into the game, they're getting frustrated. They're seeing a knife that the maker will sell for, let's say, $800, and they make so few knives that when there's one that becomes available somewhere, they'll pay $3,000 for it, and they're snatching them up because right now today it's a hot maker, it's a great knife, there's nothing wrong with the product, and it's worth it today. But you know, and all of the old school makers know, that there's a bubble to all of this.
Oh, absolutely. and the bubble will break. It always does.
How did it happen with the stilettos?
Well, in 1990, 89, Bill McHenry and a lot of guys like that started making switchblades out of Damascus and pearls and ivories and gold and engraved. And
Now, until that point, what was the average price for a good, high-quality custom stiletto before that?
yeah, that was the interframe market at that time, and they were $300-400.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden, there's a $6,000 to $20,000 knife available. There were people that took advantage of that because people that have $6,000 to spend on a knife are people that think they're getting their money's worth. So there were people that took advantage of that, and there was a huge boom in switchblade custom collectibles from, say, 1989 to 1999. And a guy would sell the knife for $1,500, and the next thing you'd see is it for $9,000. So what happened though was, okay, these guys that had that kind of money were buying $200,000-300,000 worth of knives. It was different then. They didn't flip them. They bought them, and then all of a sudden, hey, something happened, and they needed to get their money out. Couldn't do it.
So the knives were actually dropping in value once they were all bought up like that.
They were worth $1,500, not $9,000. So what happened was a lot of the big collectors that had huge amounts of extra cash to buy those knives disappeared. It killed a huge market that could be here today. The deal is when you're going to buy a knife, buy it for a reasonable price.
Yeah, because at that point, it's not an investment. Now they've got these $9,000 stilettos that are good for nothing but showing off and maybe rubbing on their junk every now and then and patting themselves in the back going, I spent $9,000 on a knife, but to know it's worth maybe $1,000 at the end of the day,
right,
that hurts. And this is going to, and there's no guarantees. It's just like the stock market. There's no guarantees about the ups and downs, but we're seeing the same type of pattern happening right now.
Absolutely.
I think it's a longer pattern. I think that we're going to have more longevity out of this. But at some point, if and when the crash does happen, there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of shit that thought, well, I bought this because it was an investment. I bought this because maybe it would get me to my dream, my grail knife later on that I can't afford today. It'll appreciate and it's a stepping stone. Or maybe I could sell it in 10 years and pay for my kid's first car. Whatever their reasons are for collecting. They're not investments. I mean, nothing today is an investment unless you're buying gold, silver, platinum, or palladium. That's it. Real estate took a shit. Everything is taking a shit. So I think if people keep a normal frame of mind about this, buy what you like, buy what you're going to enjoy or use or put in a little plastic bubble with a single halogen light over it to show it off in your hallway. Do it for you. Don't do it because you think it's going to be worth something later, because sometimes you're just going to get fucked.
It's like women's clothes. They're only worth so much. They pay a lot, but they're only worth that. It's the same thing. Anything. It's a brand new car. You drive it off the lot. It's only worth so much money. And, if you think about that when you buy a knife, if I buy this knife and the maker is a reasonable person that wants to be in business for many, many, many years, they're going to give you a good value for your money, that you're going to be able to get your money out. Now, if there is an aftermarket where some stuff happens, well, I would never buy a knife from that aftermarket. Not me. Because I've seen it come and go. I know that what's going to happen eventually.
And it can happen at pretty much any level on any name.
Well, 2007, it definitely happened.
All right, so let's talk about you more specifically. Right now the big thing is tactical folders, especially tactical flippers. And you've had a couple of really hot models that people remember, especially with the Expendables AXD. I mean, it was in the friggin' movie, it's on the posters, and everybody knows it. But you've had a chance to kind of reinvent yourself and kind of change the direction that you're going in. And the Dominator really seems to be that. It's a huge model. Everybody that sees it fucking loves it. I've done my video on it. You guys that are subscribed to my channel hopefully have already seen that. If not, go back and watch it, because it's to this day still one of my personal favorite knives. And you're actually carrying yours on you. Give us an idea of the inspiration for that knife and why it's special for you and why everybody needs to have one in their pocket.
Well, the history first, I'll do a quickie. The Dominator came out with Camillus way back, like 2002, and it was a hit at that time, but Camillus was on the downturn. Their family wanted to sell out them and Charade. They owned them both and get out of the business. So the knife sat dormant. I never made a custom knife in the Dominator. So about a year and a half ago, what had happened was I started fiddling around with it and coming up with a new kind of design to bring it up to date, and I thought, well, I might as well bring it out as a custom. So we did, and what happened was it was ahead of its time pretty much, and it's a fantastic knife. We've got a lock insert in it now. We put inlays in it. We do different frame styles. We do different blades now. It's probably one of the best-selling knives I've ever made in my career.
Well, you're probably offering more options than this than anything else, because, I mean, just lately you've been doing, as far as the frames go, you've done obviously the 6AL4V titanium, you've been doing Mokutai, you've done Damascus, you've done full Damascus frames. The Raindrop Damascus was beautiful. You've done zirconium, and then in the blades we've got what's your standard steel for them now?
S35.
S35VN, and then we've seen SM100, which is insane,
yeah.
And you've been able to, and nobody can really draw a consistent line with SM100. The heat treat's going to bring out whatever colors it wants to, but you've kind of found a way to bring out a little more color consistently during the heat treat of SM100. So yours kind of looks a little, and I hate to use the fucking word, but prettier than a lot of other people's.
Yeah, a little experimentation. 22 years of this stuff, you kind of get a feel for it. And it's like doing your Damascus etching and that kind of thing. It's the same thing. You have certain processes you learn over the years that's going to work. Well, what we try to do is we try to get a process together, and then we do that process and we write it down, and we do it like that all the time so that it becomes consistent, because our customers are going, I want that one. And another one is not the one they want that one. And we have that constantly, especially with the Raindrop Damascus. It was insane. People would call up, I want that blade. Okay, I want that handle. Okay, I want it gold. I want this. They want the exact knife nowadays that they see. So we have to try to be as very vigilant and very consistent about what we do. And the only way we can do that is by making sure we know the process and we keep record of it.
All right, in a couple of minutes, we're going to go out into the shop and we're going to see how the Dominator is made from beginning to end. Because again, as I mentioned in the open, they do everything here in-house. They don't farm any work out. Even something as minuscule as laser engraving their logo on the blade is all done in-house. But before we do that, before we leave the comfortable confines of your air-conditioned office, y'all remember this is friggin' Texas. It's going to be hot as shit out there. I'm going to be dripping and wet the whole time, and not in the good way. I want to take a second to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Anytime somebody brings up the name Darrel Ralph, and I've experienced this a lot, like I said, we've been friends a long time, I've owned a lot of your knives, and I talk about them a lot, and there's always going to be somebody that pops up and goes, well, there was this issue, and there's that issue, and I would never buy a knife from Darrel because of the way I felt treated, buying on this group buy from this forum. It's not a fun thing to talk about, but I think it's important that we acknowledge it and let people hear your side of the story. So give us some background as to how the deal came together and how, honestly, and I don't want to put it like this, but how it went to shit.
I was between a rock and a hard place. Let's just put it that way. There was an investor group that had HTM by the Nuggets, and all they wanted was money, and that's the way HTM is today.
You have split ways from HTM.
I'm not involved with HTM in any way, shape, or form. I did not own any of HTM, ever. I was basically like a front man for them, with my knives and my designs were their headliner or whatever. And, I'm a guy that believes that excuses are just crap. And so I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm not going to go into details. I'm not going to do anything like that. What I want to do, though, is personally, with my business, DDR Custom Knives, if anybody has one of those knives out there and they've got an issue with it, I would like for you to call me. There's certain things that we can do to refurb those knives and make them better. Any kind of frame issues, anything like that, that are chips or anything of that sort that was done after the fact, we can't help you with. But we could do maybe some satining on the blades or anything like that that would make you feel better. Adjust the locks, that kind of thing. Once again, I had no control, Jim. None. It was not my baby. I had no strings on the money. I had nothing. I would have stopped everything. Everything would have been done like the Dominators.
So basically anybody that was involved in that group purchase on that forum that got those knives, they were pissed off, they were unhappy. If you still have the knife, call up Darrel. He'll do what he can to make it as new of it and perfect of a knife as he can, obviously within reason. I felt it was important to bring it up because, well, everybody else does, and the negative always seems to outweigh the positive. So it's important that people understand that you're not involved with HTM, and even though that was an HTM project, all this time after the fact, you're willing to help them out and get it taken care of. Now, that wasn't always the frame of mind. They would come to you, and at some point it got to be too much, and you said, no, we're not doing shit. So I want to be clear to everybody, this is a new offer. This is something that's entirely different from the way it was in the past, and this is just it's a clean slate kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have control of everything I do, so I can say that now, and I don't care who likes it.
Okay, perfect.
If you want to bring them in here, I'll take care of it.
Awesome. All right, let's go take a look at the shop, meet the crew, and see what everybody's part is in this wonderful machine. So basically, step one in any of the knives being made here in the shop is going to begin, well, it's kind of a boring process, but it's on the computer, right?
Yeah. A lot of boring to this. It takes a while to do it. Let's see the...
So Virgil's going to give us a quick look here at what the CAD file looks like for a typical Dominator. And there you go. These are all the outlines and some of the tool paths that are going to be taken on this. And that's just the handles, right? Yeah.
That's just handles.
So there you go, guys. That's step number one. That's where all the magic begins. But the fun stuff is once they start cutting out the parts and putting shit together, and that's where we're going right now.
This is where the Dominator starts. This is titanium. It's been EDM'd out. It ends up being a frame like that when we're done machining it, but this is where it starts. Right now we're cutting, these are Dominator clips that we're cutting right now. It's in there.
How does the wire EDM work?
It works with electric discharge. One's positive, one's negative, and they take a solution and then it cuts. As you can see right here, it's cutting that out of titanium. The wire makes it cut. That's it.
And it's doing its magic down in there right now.
Yeah, it's cutting that plate right there. That's Mokatai. That's a plate of Mokatai right now. We're cutting clips out for our customer orders. Hard to see what it's doing, but that's actually what it's cutting right there where the white is. Here's the wire. The next step is we do the machining on the frames. We machine the inside and the outsides of the frames on this machine here. This is a CNC vertical milling machine. These frames are all machined here. Every piece, every part is machined in our shop. This is 6ALV4 titanium. These are the lock inserts that we're putting in our knives now. These go in every knife on the lock bar. Back spines. They're EDM out, and then we do all the drilling and tapping here, and they fit in the back of the knife. Yeah, let me open the doors for you. This is a Dominator blade. This has been wire EDM'd out. Been wire EDM'd out all the way. Machined here, the holes, the dip pivot, and the stop pin. After that, we take it and we put it on a block, such as this right here. We're not really set up for this, but it sets like this. Then we take the block and we go in and we do all the grinding on it, except for we do it on hollow grind on the hollow grind attachments on it. These are all hollow ground. That means they cannot be machine ground. We grind everything here. And like I said, they're all hollow grind. We grind them right here. Most of our Dominators are ground on this machine. It's set up for that.
Another thing that's important to realize is the fact that everything is done in-house, including the heat treat. And that's a big thing. You know, there's nothing wrong with farming it out, and there's some really good heat treaters all around the country, of course, but it's really nice to know they have the quality control in-house. And here is a nice old surface grinder. Oh, no, we went back over toward the red tarp. Now we're going to the surface grinder. So as you see, everything is done here in-house. We're going to play around a little bit with some blades right now and see some good shit get ground. There he is, folks, Darrel Ralph, throwing sparks and breaking hearts. He's going to do a little compound grind here, starting with the main primary bevel and a nice deep hollow. Oh God. It makes me want to touch myself all over the place.
That's rough. This is our hardness tester. We have it certified. Right here. We had it certified about 3 months ago. We have it certified every 3 or 4 months to make sure it's up to snuff. It gives us a hardness on every blade that we do after heat treat to make sure it's up to par. Yeah, Ed is sitting at his bench right now. He's got a blade locked up in the vise, and what he's doing is putting a beautiful hand-rubbed satin finish on the top of the blade. We do this with every blade that's required like that, and also our handles are all hand rubbed to a beautiful finish.
Nothing I appreciate more than a good hand rub. Maybe a rub and tug. A little bit of release at the end of the day.
This is a bench we do all of our anodization on. It's all done with DC current. We have a solution in here that we use, and then we put it in our dip jar here, and then we change the color by changing the voltage here on our rheostat. This is the way we used to mark all the blades before last week.
This is a pantograph, right?
Yeah, it's a pantograph, and what it does is you follow the template. Your knife is setting here, and there's a diamond here that scratches the name into the blade or whatever logo, whatever you want.
So whatever you're tracing here shows up right over there.
Yes, absolutely.
But now how do you do it?
What we do nowadays is we mark all of our blades with a fiber laser marking machine. It is a laser, it's 30 watts of fiber laser. It actually scores the metal and leaves an indelible mark.
And this is actually going to be really fast, so don't blink. Man, that was quicker than me on my wedding night.
Right now, Virgil is going to show you how we assemble a Dominator, all the pieces and parts. We use a fantastic bearing system that I put a patent on in the year 2005, and it's been doing well for us since that time, and we finally get to see the fruits of our labor from that time frame nowadays, because this knife just opens like a piece of glass. It's so smooth. Now,
I noticed they dropped a little spacer in there in the pocket for the bearings. A lot of people don't know what that's for. Give us an idea what that's for.
Our bearings do not run on titanium. Our bearings run on a hardened washer, and that was part of my patent.
Because if it was running against titanium, at some point it's going to score itself in so deep, it's just wearing itself into the softer titanium.
Exactly. We found that out when we made butterfly knives without the washers. They would come back in a week and we'd have to start over. And so we finally figured out we'd patent the idea of the hardened washer into the patent that Larry Chu started in 1995.
Awesome.
He was the first guy. So Virgil's got this Dominator pretty well put together for you. We've got solid titanium clip, back spacers titanium, everything is tapped, done in-house here. Also, we have our lock inserts on all of our knives nowadays, and they're just phenomenal. Every night is tested.
No, wait, what did he just do there?
That's our test. That's what we do right there. Is we check every lock before it goes out the door. And I'll take you back and show you a demonstration on.
I want to see your extreme version of whacking because you are a master whacker.
I am a master whacker. You would not believe.
Let's go take a look at that. This steel table here is something of great interest. You see all the marks right here? Let's see where those marks came from. Now, I want to be very clear, that is not happening to your knife. That is Darrel's personal knife, and this was how he wanted to prove to everybody how strong his new lock inserts are, and there's still no play in that pivot, no nothing.
I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys some of the accessories that we have. These here are titanium mini Kubotan keychain pins. They actually write very well. These are pretty popular. Put that over here. These are our Kubotans. We do these in brass and titanium. Let's see what else. We got mocha tie beads. We just came out with these. These are the Megas. These are very popular right now. Awesome beads. Very well done. This is one of our skull pins, and this is actually a custom wallet from Hellbent Holsters. And as you can see,
Holsters, yeah!
Awesome guys.
as you can see,
Texas rock.
it sits right in there perfectly like that. Here's some of our rings. Here's a couple rough ones. This is how they come off of the EDM. But as you can see, here's a couple that are looks like they're finished, but not completely colored yet. Here's a nice green one. Let's see what else we got. We got the Dominator S3 right here. Essentially, this is the same design as the original Dominator with the 3-inch blade. Here's the difference in size. So for some of the guys that don't like the bigger stuff, little stuff is just as good. As you can see, the grinds are pretty close to identical. Very cool knife. What else we got? This is our skull punch. This is actually a custom leather sheath that a good friend of ours made for us. As you can see, it just comes right out like that. You can put these, clip these in your pocket. You can put them in your boot. You can do whatever you want with them, but they're awesome. Collector's pieces. And these thread on just like this. And as you can see, if we need any leather work done, a good buddy of mine, Savage Jordan, you can find him on Facebook. He does awesome work. Here's just a couple more skull punches. This one is all done 100% by hand. There's no machining. Did all of this custom by hand. These ones here are these are machined on our lathe, and then all the tips are 100% custom. Yeah, that's it.
Really like to thank you all for stopping by. Thank Jim. Everybody involved in this video is very, very polite, very, very kind, and we appreciate it very much from DDR and so. Thank you.
All right, boys and girls, that's it. I've had a lot of fun. I know Darrel had fun. I hope you guys had fun as well. My longest video to date, my first time having somebody edit it, first time having somebody do the videography for me. So to both, thank you very much for all the hard work. And with that, I'm out of here, and I'll see you guys on the next video.